So today we will discuss what's Linux, why we use it, is it popular or not, and a lot more. So Linux is free and open source operating system. We all know that, based on Unix operating system, which was established in early 60s. And this was created by Linus Torvalds in 1991. So it is a very, very, very stable, secure, reliable operating system. And all the mission critical applications are mostly run on Linux flavors. There are many flavors: Linux, Fedora, Linux Mint, SUSE Linux, Ubuntu. So there are a lot of flavors. Before Linux, there were operating systems like AIX, Solaris, SPUX. But the problem with those operating systems were they were free, but they used to run on some customized dedicated hardware. Like for HP, there was a dedicated hardware. For Sun Solaris, there was a Solaris Spark architecture. The CPU architecture was different. The OS was the OS can only be run on that hardware, and that hardware was crazy expensive. But those operating systems were so stable that once I rebooted a system, I myself rebooted a system after 9 years. The uptime of that system was 9 years. It was running for 9 years without rebooting, and I did it by myself. So that's how stable they are. Then came this Linux. Initially, it was not very stable, but with the time, it became so stable that people shifted from those dedicated hardwares to this Linux, which can run on simple x86 CPU architecture, which is supported by Intel and AMD. So in our laptops, we have Intel processor x86 architecture, and we have AMD processors x86 architecture. I will go with a little theory in the start so that we know what Linux is, and then we will go with the commands. So Linux architecture, we can divide it easily into a few categories: the kernel, the shell, the file system, the packages, users, and permissions. We will discuss it and we will implement it. It's not official, but 30% of the Microsoft workload is also running on Unix family. And it's an open source license agreement. You can modify the code. You can modify anything. So the code is open. This is the beauty of Linux. So the basic module of Unix operating system is the kernel. And kernel is, we don't usually deal with the kernel. It is responsible for managing your resources, memory, processes, input, output, network cards, and disk storage, any other hardware. The drivers are there in the kernel. What's a shell? We have used command prompt to ping something, to check the connectivity. So shell is like the same. We install packages, we troubleshoot, we do everything using shell. That's called the command line interface. So in all the production environments, there is no graphical user interface. There is no mouse. You cannot click here and there. You just have a black screen, and you can type anything, but you cannot copy, paste, drag, drop anything in Linux operating systems. And we need to learn commands to traverse and to manage our systems. So there are various types of shells: the born again shell, bash, most commonly used, C shell, and corn shell.
Yeah, shell is a command line interface that allows us to interact with the
Yes.
system. Okay.
Okay, I'm just skimming it, and we will do it everything practically. So you have used you have used Microsoft Windows, and you have used Mac OS. I'm not sure about Mac because I have not used it. But in Windows, you have C drive, you have D drive, E drive. Mostly operating systems installed in the C, and DE for data and anything like that. So Linux has partitions. The file system is like, these are the folders. The media is a folder. Slash is the starting point. It's called the root. It's it is a hierarchical structure. You have slash, then you have slash media. You have, I can go on the board. Just give me a minute. It starts like this. This is your starting point. Then you can have MNP. You can have var. /log. If you are running some Apache, it will be apacche. So it goes like that. First, you have this. This is the root. This is var. This is mnt. You can have opt. You can have etc. You can have so many directories. Few are by default, like root, boot, and home, temp, and so on. And then these have further subdirectories. So this is how Linux file system grows. I am having some noise from, okay. So you can read it later in media. You have USBs are attached here. In OPT, I am telling you the important ones only. The OPT contains the optional software packages. You have installed Oracle, some database, or some other database. You can install it at /opt or anywhere. /proc contains information about the running processes. The root is the home directory for the root user. The root user is the super user of any Unix operating system. It is the most powerful user. It has the access to everything and every place. Binaries are the packages installed in the Linux. /temp, temporary files are created in this directory. /usr contains the user binaries. /var, variable files such as logs go in the vars. So the packages. So in Linux, package is a collection of files, metadata that are used to install and manage software on a system. And before package managers, I can show you later, installing a package in any Linux or Unix operating system was a nightmare. I mean, we will install a package later. And it is so easy nowadays that you can use any utility, like for CentOS, it is yum, yellow dog updater. In BSD ports, in Ubuntu apt, so advanced package tool. So installing a package nowadays is so simple. In older days, it was very complicated, and I will show you later. Then we have users and permissions. I told you the root is the most powerful user, and it can do anything. It can create other users. It can give you permissions, revoke permission. It can access anybody's file system. And mostly the system administrator who owns the system has the root privileges. Everybody else has the regular users permissions. And there are some system users which are used to run some processes, like running an Apache server or any server. We will discuss what Apache is in coming days. So to manage users and permissions, Linux provides several command line utilities, such as if you want to add a user, you can type user add and space the username. You can modify user, change owner. You can change the ownership of any file system, any file, any folder using this change own command. And change mod command, you can change the permissions of any file or directory in Linux. The basic command structure in Linux is you have the command, you have some arguments, and you have some options. For example, anybody used Windows command line? Like, in Windows, if I want to go to some directory, if I have D directory, I will go something like that. Okay, cd .yes. I can go from user Muhammad Ishan to one step back by using cd . If I type dir, I can list the contents of C directory. So just like that, Windows has its own command prompt, and Linux works like that. So we have ls list directories, all, and /root. So what this command does is it will list all the contents of root directory, and we can use so many other switches also. So we have ls command list the contents of a directory. We have cd command, change the current working directory, just like in Windows. It's the same in Windows and Linux. twd, print the current working directory. You're sitting in some directory and you don't know which directory I am sitting in. So you can type pwd, enter, and you will know. It will print out the path where you are standing right now. If you want to create a directory or a folder, it's the same thing. So we use mkdir. If you want to remove a directory, either rmdir or rm-rf and the directory name. cp used to copy the file. Move is used to rename a file or move a file. rm, remove file or directory. And if you want to create a file, you can use a touch command. I am just listing all of it so that I can give it to you, the presentation, and you can practice this later. So with file and directory commands, if you want to read a file, you can use cat, you can use more. We can use tail to display the tail of a file. I'm in the last entries of a file. We can use head to display the first few lines of the file. We can open a file by using, I think it's getting boring, right? I'm trying to sum it as soon as possible. We can use find to find some files. Then we can use chmod or chown to change the permissions. We can use okay, leave. There are some important system commands also. une-a, it will tell you the operating system name and family. With top, it's like a task manager in Windows. It will show you the processes, the available CPU utilization, the memory. The ps aux will tell you the running processes. df-h shows you space, and uptime will tell you for how long your system is running. If config, you can check the IP address. Netstat, we can see some ports parameters. File editing can be done through nano, vi, or vm. I mostly use vi, but it's your own choice. And then there are some networking commands. That's it. I will share this presentation with you, and so that you can practice these commands when we will install Linux. So now I provided you the link so that you can download and install VMware Workstation. So everybody did that? So what I can do now is I can create a new virtual machine. This is my Windows operating system, and I have installed VMware Workstation, which is a type 2 hypervisor. What's a hypervisor? It virtualizes your hardware. Type 2 hypervisor is the hypervisor which runs on some operating system, not on bare metal. And the type 1 hypervisor is you can install directly into the machine, and there is no Windows, Mac, or any OS it depends on. It has its own operating system, and it's yeah, everything. It has its own kernel, everything on its own. So you can see that I'm creating a virtual machine, right? You can see the steps.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And you're not asking anything. Anyways, this is the compatibility. I have version 16 available, so I'm going with the default. Then it is asking me the disk installer disk image, the ISO file. What's an ISO file? I mean, in older days when we used to install Windows in your PCs or desktops, we used to have CD-ROMs available. So on that CD, there was some operating system installed or burned. But nowadays, we don't have CD-ROMs available. We have USB available. So the operating system is now shifted to that USB, and we install from that USB flash drives. And they are compacted in an ISO file. It's the image of that CD or DVD disk. So I have CentOS 7.9 DVD ISO available. I will press next. Okay, full name. So I can name my virtual machine so that I can remember it. And I can go with the default, but I want to install it in my E drive in a specific folder with the same name. I can click press the processors, the CPU cores. So you have the idea of the cores. In our CPU, which is our central processing unit, we have, in the older days, we had core to duo, then we have dual core, then we have core i3, core i5, core i7. And if we go to systems in the home user machines, we go up to, I guess, 4 CPUs. In server class machines, we can go up to, I guess, 32 into 4. We can go up to 128 cores per physical server. So if there is any confusion in cores, I can explain you later, or maybe now. So I'm giving it 2048, 2 gigs of RAM. RAM and memory, I use it interchangeably, so don't get confused. You see, this is NAT. Use network address translation. I can use bridge networking. I can do the NAT. Leave now host networking, and so what it will do is this VMware workstation will NAT my traffic and take it out to the internet. If I use bridge networking, it will not apply the netting, and it will connect me directly to my Wi-Fi network through my laptop Wi-Fi, and the IP will be provided by the customer premises equipment device or your Wi-Fi device. So I will go with the NAT, so that if I'm using at my home, the IP is, if I'm using bridge networking, maybe my Wi-Fi is giving me 192.168.0 network. In my office, if I want to work on this machine, maybe it's providing me 172 series IP. So every time the IP is changing because DHCP is providing the new IP address. So if we do the NAT, this machine IP will remain same, and whatever is the outside IP, it will NAT with that IP. So this is all default. Create a new virtual disk. Okay. And I can say 100 GB. Don't click on allocate disk space now, because it will take 100 GB out of your hard disk. And I'm saying store virtual disk as a single file. That's it. So power on this virtual machine after creation. Any confusion till here? I guess no.
So the people with Mac, they only have to install the virtual machine.
No,
after
you will install the VirtualBox. I have just provided the link. So VirtualBox is like it's the same as VMware, but it's the product of Oracle. So few things are different. It's again a hypervisor. It virtualizes your system, and just few things are different.
Okay.
You can I have provided the latest link. Download it, and I can show you how to do it on VirtualBox also. That's what I can do. Because installing an OS is just like a piece of cake.
Yeah, I just installed it, and it's ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is booting from my ISO file. Okay. Date and time. Come on. Everything actually. When you will be doing in VirtualBox, you have to provide a couple of things here. But VMware Workstation takes all the parameters in the start. It has asked me for the username, the password. The VirtualBox will not do that. So you have to provide the username and passwords in this screen. So till it is installing some packages, I can show you this is VirtualBox. Yep, this is VirtualBox. Again, you can create new VMs. Yep, you can name it CentOS 7 lab. You can say install it some other location like E drive. Make a new folder. CentOS lab. Select folder. Type is, it's a Linux operating system. Version is, the VMware detected it automatically. You have to tell it here. I think there is no option for CentOS, so I will go with the Red Hat. Next, memory is 2048. Create virtual hard disk now. And the size should be 100 gigs, create, and then we go in the settings. Storage. This is your CD drive, and we can go with this ISO. Or if you don't see it, what you can do is, sorry, what I opened. Choose a disk file. So you can attach a disk directly, and then select it. I think it got, yes, it is installed. It is in there, Centos 7.9. This is attached. If you can press OK, and then I can start a VM. So can you see the process of is it showing install Centos 7 to you guys, because there is a new pop-up?
Yes.
Someone, you can see install Centos 7 screen. No, okay. Now,
Yeah, I can see it now.
okay, so install Centos 7, you can click it, and okay, doesn't matter. So that's how you will go with the VirtualBox. It's a bit different approach, but eventually the same thing. And I don't use it. There is a reason for it. My mouse goes crazy, and when I start VirtualBox with Zoom, and yes, it's gone crazy now. I don't know what's the problem. Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so the date and time, you can either do it manually, or if I know where I am on the map, I can select it from the map. Keyboard is US. Installation source is local media. We are installing it from the CD-ROM. Software selection is minimal. Installation destination, the hard disk partitioning. What I can do is, the easiest way is just click it and say, I will configure partition myself. Done. And then on this screen, click here to create them automatically. First, you tell it that you will do it, but here you can say, do it automatically. So it will make some partitions for you by default, but it has not written anything on the disk. So I can change it, that I can say only reserve 10 gigs for my home directory. I don't know why it has said me to rescan it. So I will say 10 gigs for home directory. And I have 36 gigs available, so I can say I can create a var partition of, let's say, 10 GIP. Still have 26 available. I want to give it to root. So 76. This home is LVM. This boot is standard partition. This root is LVM. We will discuss LVM later. The var is also LVM, and I can say it can be LVM or a standard partition. If it's a standard partition, okay, we will discuss partition types later. And the file systems can be ext2, ext3, ext4, XFS, in Microsoft, I don't know about Mac, but in Microsoft, in earlier days, we had FAT16 file system, then we had FAT32, we had NFS. Mostly we use, if we format a disk, we format it with NFS, and there is one more. It recently came, I don't remember the name. So in Linux, there are also the file systems, ext3, ext4, these are the versions, XFS and ZFS and a lot more. So that's how I can select word partition. I can create OPT directory. I can create any other directory which I want to, but these are the most basic ones. So I'm going with the basic ones. And when I am done, it is asking me that destroy the format and accept the changes so that it can write it to disk, and I can go to the begin installation. I can set the root password. Root123 I'm using, sorry, root123, so that I can remember it. And press enter 2 times because it's a very weak password, so it wants to click you twice. And then again, it's on the same screen where we left VMware. So VMware detects the OS and it does few tasks automatically, but this is the better approach, that you do it yourself. So I think right control, I can come out of the screen, and the VMware is still going on. So now I have 2 OS running simultaneously. So it's installing on my PC. If someone has tried it or is trying or having any issue, you can tell me so that I can help you.
Can we increase the
recording? So now this is my Linux machine.
Oh.
I can type my username.
When I click settings, I cannot like there's nothing to be seen on when I click settings. That's the problem I'm facing.
Wait a minute. I can stop my share.
I'll just give you access to it.
So my Centos 7 machine is ready. I can and let's see if my VMware workstation. Okay, that's it. I'm shutting down the one of the VM.
we cannot see your screen.
Yeah, I agree. I know. I'm just sharing it. I was closing it. Share with VMware workstation. Okay, now you can see it. So this is my screen. Either this screen will come or a black screen. I think it has taken me to graphical user interface, which it should not supposed to do. I mean, it has selected a default model, so I can open a terminal. Don't worry if you get a black screen. It is running in level 3. My system is running in run level 5, so I will take it to the run level 3 later. So what I can do is IPAS. It will tell you that I have one loopback, leave it. This is my adapter, and leave these both. So my IP address is 192.168.16.139. Okay, this is the IP address. This is the command to show the IP. If this command don't run, fconfig -a, it will tell you that this is your IP address, the same IP address. That will give you some little information. This command will give you a lot more information. And this is generic command for all the operating system. IPAS, maybe it will not run in some Linux distributions, but if config will run in all distributions. So this is my IP address. And I will provide you a pack. You can download it. There is a package called 30. It will look like this. You can download it, install it, and I have the IP address 192.168.16.139. This was the IP address of my. Okay, where did it go? Accept, and I have to share it again. So you will come to this screen, root123. So now this is my machine. I can run the same command which I was running from inside the machine, and I can. Okay, just give me a minute. I can do it to full screen, and I can increase the text size. Maybe 16 is fine. So clear IPAS or fconfig -a. So it will tell you the IP address that this machine, I am sitting on this machine. If I do, we have learned the command df -h. It is saying I have the root partition. Okay, it has taken all 98 gigs out of those 100 gigs, and it has assigned it to the root partition. This is the root partition. and the remaining it has given it to the boot partition. It has not created home, it has not created. So automatically, it has created automatically. In production, we don't do it. We create it manually. So it has pretty much done automatically. So that's how we see our partition tables. And this is my hard disk. I have, if you can go into the presentation, I have skipped it a lot. So in /dev folder, you have your devices, the hard disk devices. So SDA1 is your one hard disk. If I can attach a new hard disk, it will come as SDAB. Then the new hard disk will, if I add another one, it will come as SDAC. We will discuss this everything in the coming classes. We will attach new disks. We can do a lot more. But today, I am more focused that if anyone is having any problem in installing CentOS, you can ask me. And then we will discuss how to, and I will share further download. Everybody please download Putty, PUTTY.